Hey, I'm Mick. I'm one of the founders of Loftia. We've been working on Loftia for obviously a little over a year now. And my role in the team is uh, a bit of everything. I'm the producer for the project, which means I go around to everyone and make sure that things are going on the right track. People are working on what they need to work on. They know what they need to work on. Um, and aside from that, um, I also, when I get the time, I'm also an engineer. So I am part of the engineering team, doing all the programming and building out the features for the game. So yes, that is me. I'll hand over to Martina next.
Hi everyone, I'm Martina, as some of you may know. So I am also one of the co-founders of Loftia, and yeah, like Mick, I do a bit of everything as well here and there, but I'm mainly looking after the marketing side of things, the social media marketing, and also community management, and yeah, just helping out here and there on the team as well. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining our stream today. I'll pass it over to Eric.
Hi, I'm Eric. I'm on the engineering side. I'm our lead engineer, and so I do all the programming, development, and just have been building out the game. We'll move over to Felicia.
Hey everyone, I'm a 2D artist in Loftia, and I mainly work on the concept art from characters to environment, as well as the illustrations. I'll pass it to Jacob.
Hi, I'm Jacob. I'm, for lack of a better word, art lead. I'm the one who works with Eric and Mike to make sure that everything is looking the way people are wanting, making sure that the art intersects with gameplay, and making sure everyone over every discipline is on the same page.
All right, I think Cal, let's hear an intro from you as well, even though the community probably already knows you and loves you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kel. I'm on the community management side of things. Many of you have seen me around the Discord, just chatting, helping with moderation, as well as just keeping things in check and interacting and getting engagement from the community. Hello, everyone. I'll pass it over to Kinsley.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I work alongside Cal in community management. I run more of the creative, like social media side of things. And I also do a few other fun stuff. But yeah, welcome to our very first team stream. We're so excited to answer a bunch of questions today. And so we're going to kick it right off and let's just hop right into it. So, in many MMOs, there's dungeons and raids. Can you talk about the dungeon mechanics? Also, how will we make the cozy game? How will we make the game cozy to be moderately challenging while also inviting it to the wide public?
Yeah, excellent question. I'll take this one. So, uh, uh, absolutely, in many MMOs, the dungeons and raids are a key feature. And in many regards, Loftia is going to be no different here, except for some finer details, which I'll go into now. So we're going to have essentially a version of dungeons and raids, but we'll be calling them adventures and grand adventures. So they'll be group content with a twist in that Loftia will not have combat. I hear you, some of you may be thinking, how can you possibly have dungeons and raids without combat? Well, at the core of it, what we believe that dungeons and raids are, well, group content in which you tackle challenges with teamwork. And that's exactly what adventures are. So regardless of the fact that there is no combat, the core of what makes group content is there. So, yep, adventures are going to be a big part of Loftia. There'll be different adventures with differing difficulty levels. and that's going to be part of how we make Loftia challenging for those who are interested in more challenging gameplay, but also make it accessible to players who are in for more of a cozy time and aren't too keen on some of the super nitty-gritty challenging gameplay features. So a little bit more about adventures. They will consist of quite a bit of puzzle solving and also platforming, and obviously utilize teamwork to tackle those challenges together. So some of the references that we're going to be taking inspiration from when it comes to adventure design are games like Fall Guys, It Takes Two, and also shrines in the latest Zelda game, that kind of thing. So yeah.
There's
Does
one more
anyone have
important
anything
thing
to
that Nick forgot to mention. There's loot and rewards. You get stuff by going on these adventures. So just like you can go and try to get fun things going on, dungeons and raids and all that, there are absolutely reasons that you will want to go on these adventures to get things.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, absolutely. Lots of loot. Everyone loves loot.
Perfect. Now, can we talk more about the grinding aspects of the game?
So grinding is always a big topic in MMOs in general, and honestly, it's something we want to stay away from. As far as grinding is stuff that you don't necessarily want to do, but feel kind of obligated to do it. That is definitely never ever going to be our goal. What we want instead is there to be a lot of different kind of axes of progression where there are things that you can be doing at all sorts of different times that will let you progress what you're trying to do in the world, let you progress your character, let you progress your farm, just everything that you're working on in different directions. And there will always be things to contribute to. We'll probably get into our world progress system a little bit more later, but in general, the idea of world progress is that everyone in the community, everyone in the server can go and contribute to building out different parts of the game. And so, like, if you remember in the trailer, it shows Hazel's flower shop where players are going and contributing to building up that shop so it becomes bigger and better for everyone. And so, because everyone can go and contribute to that, there's natural ways where you're able to go and do more farming, do more crafting, do all the different things in Loftia, and have a use for all of that that you're creating and crafting and building. And so the goal, at least, is that it's not a grind. It's you're engaging with the creation mechanics in the game in ways that kind of feel natural and aren't just, oh, you had to do a fetch quest yesterday and it resets today and you'll do it again so you can grind out reputation with a faction. That is very much not what we're going for. We're going for a little bit more streamlined, built into the ecosystem of the game than that.
Anything else to add? All right, perfect. How will the progression work in the game? I actually see several people asking this in chat, so here's your answer.
Yeah, I've been handling a lot of that, so I think I can take this one. So we plan on having a skill system that covers all the facets of Loftia's gameplay. So I see a couple of people mentioning it in the chat as well, but there'll be a skill level for cooking, a skill level for, say, making crafting furniture, for more resource gathering. We might even have one for completion of adventures in terms of how fast and how effectively you get through them. But the gist of it is we're applying a skill value to each facet of gameplay. Some things to note is we don't want to limit anyone from choosing like a limited amount of things. So say you really like cooking, but you also really like crafting furniture, we don't want you to have to pick between one or the other. But in saying that, if you want to be good at everything, there's going to be a time investment involved in that. So it won't ever be grindy, like Eric talks about. We don't ever want it to be the fact that you have to keep working and grinding and not wanting to play to get better. It should happen organically. But that's also where we start to roll in other player engagement going in. Say there's a piece of furniture that you really, really like. If you like crafting furniture, you might already have access to it. But say you've put more focus on cooking or that sort of thing, you might not have a high enough level to make the furniture you want. It's really easy to just go up to another player and ask them to make it for you, either by giving them the resources or something like that. So currently, that's how we're approaching it. It's working great, like internally, but obviously, we'll see how people are engaging with it once they get their hands on it. But the gist of it is, what you enjoy playing, you'll get more and more rewards the more time you spend working on that aspect of the game. And the stuff that you don't really enjoy as much, you can just go up to other players who do happen to enjoy that, and they might do it for you.
Perfect. Now, Eric, I know you know a lot about this. So, MMOs are often a challenging game to create. Do you have more insight about how your team is creating Loftia and the challenges that may come with it?
Absolutely. So this is something we wrote a blog post on relatively recently, a little bit before the Kickstarter, where we went into a reasonable amount of depth on we acknowledge that building an MMO is really hard and something that is reasonable to be questioning and thinking about is, can a team build it? And so if you want to see a much more detailed answer, you can go to our blog, and I forget what we called it. I always called it MMOs are hard. And I think Mick put on a better title than that. But at a high level, the biggest things that let us think that we can really do this are technology is always getting better, right? That is the number one thing. A lot of things that were incredibly difficult to do for World of Warcraft 20 years ago are now easy to do in a couple clicks of a button and are more effective, more cost effective than anything you could have dreamed of even just 5 years ago. And so we are very heavily leveraging some incredibly talented and massive companies' work. Two of the biggest ones would be, of course, Epic Games, who built Unreal Engine that makes everything that we do easier, and then Amazon, and we're very heavily into their cloud infrastructure. And so a lot of the complexity has already been built for us. We're kind of standing on the shoulder of giants, right? Where the hardest parts in a lot of respects are already built for us, and we're building on top of that. And then on top of that, we wouldn't be promising to you, as far as a Kickstarter goes, that we can do this if we hadn't convinced ourselves of it first. And so, well, Felicia and Jacob and Elsie and all of them have been creating all the amazing art and everything that you see in the Kickstarter. My focus has been going and building out the infrastructure necessary for an MMO, having items stored in the AWS cloud, going and splitting the world up between multiple different servers so that you can go and go through the main city on one server, then you go to your player housing, and that's in an instance on another server, and it's all like spun up dynamically. All of those pieces are things that we've actually already built out and tested so that we have a level of confidence that, okay, we've already run scalability tests with 150 players concurrently in a single little server, and everything was working great. And so all of those pieces together give us the confidence that we can kind of do this. And if you want to see more details and more info on that, head over to the blog on our website, and someone can post it in chat. And that will go into more details on why we think we can do it.
Perfect answer. All right, is there a chance that the release of the game will be even earlier than expected if things go well? I've seen this in chat, so I know people want to know.
Yeah, I can take this one. So we know that everyone is just so incredibly excited for Loftia, and we're so happy to see that. And we've seen this question floating around. The best answer that we can give is we're working incredibly hard behind the scenes to get Loftia out to everyone as soon as possible. The date for the alpha and the early access that we have noted down in the campaign is a safe date, as in we are confident we will be able to deliver those milestones by those times. Is there a chance that we could deliver it earlier? It's really hard to say. Game development is, as you've probably heard us say many times, it's an incredibly long, difficult, complex journey. There are so many different bits and pieces of work from a whole multitude of different disciplines that all needs to be fit together, on a single timeline. And so, with all that in mind, like we're gonna try our best, but I wouldn't say that it would be likely that will be a significant amount of time ahead of schedule. So the dates that we provided on the Kickstarter will be the most reliable timelines. We obviously would love to say that we may be able to pull it off earlier, but excuse me, we just really also want to set realistic expectations as well, and we don't want to promise things that will get everyone's hopes up, and then it may result in disappointment if we can't adhere to those lofty promises. So yeah, we're gonna do our best, but please use the dates that we've set as a guideline. Thanks, everyone.
Yes, and speaking about the Kickstarter, after the Kickstarter ends, are there plans to have a way to purchase the tiers through other means, other campaigns, Patreon, Loftia website, etc.?
Yeah, so about these, Kickstarter exclusive rewards are going to be remaining Kickstarter exclusive, meaning that they're only available as part of the campaign. And this includes essentially all of the rewards that are available on the Kickstarter page right now, excluding things like the game keys, the digital art book, and the OST and the plushies. So there will be a short period of a couple of weeks after the campaign, less than a month, where backers, if you have already backed the Kickstarter campaign, you'll have an opportunity to upgrade your pledge to a higher tier, and that'll be available as part of a pledge management system that we're going to be using. But we will relay more information about all of that to all of you once the campaign has concluded. If you are looking to back, just wanted to quickly note that if possible, it would be preferable. It would be better for Loftia, and if for more pledges to come in during the campaign rather than afterwards, because it's only pledges that come in during this month that will count towards the stretch goals that we're aiming to hit. And I know that all of us on the team, and obviously all of you in the community as well, are incredibly excited about the 3 stretch goals that we've got left to hit. And that includes the animal conservationist, the player-run markets, and of course the additional islands and biomes as well. So, yep, I think that's all I have to say there.
Perfect. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit more about the game itself. Will Loftia have cosmetics like skins or pet skins, and will it involve real money in the future? Or will cosmetics be purchasable via in game currency, which we can earn?
I think this is the third question I'm going to take in a row.
Here, I'll
But
start
Eric,
this one off then. Yeah,
all
I'll
right,
start
sure
this one
thing.
off. So generally, the answer is yes, there will be cosmetics that we will be selling. Yes, there will also be many cosmetics that you can earn in game through a whole slew of different ways, right? And so you can get cosmetics from crafting them yourselves, finding them on adventures, purchasing them from in-game stores, from the NPCs. Like, there's tons of different ways you can get cosmetics. And then the reality, of course, is building a game takes a lot of people's time and effort, and generally we do like to eat occasionally, and so we do need a way to support Loftia going forwards. And so we are going to be selling some cosmetics in the store that we use all the proceeds from that to pay the development team and pay for the servers, because with us being an MMO, we do have to pay for all of those servers that everyone's playing on, which is orders of magnitude cheaper than it was in the past, but is still a non-trivial expense that we're going to have to be paying over the course of the game. And so we're going to be incredibly careful that we don't want to make it feel predatory or anything like that. Certainly there's no like loot boxes or gotcha or any of those types of operations. Also, the cosmetics are probably a little bit more affordable than they are in the Kickstarter, where the Kickstarter is about supporting us and supporting our development. Going forward, there will be a wider range of different options. And so that's the general thought process. And we want to be really clear that we are going to have some revenue streams. The game will cost something up front, and that will give us the leeway we need to go and build out the game to get to that launch point. And then from there, we don't want to do subscriptions. We don't want to have that gating of the community where you have to pay every month or anything like that. Instead, we will offer a variation of cosmetics that are there if you have the ability to support us by buying some of those and you like the way that they look. And with people like Felicia and Jacob creating these cosmetics, I suspect that you probably will like the way that they look and be interested in purchasing some occasionally. Um, they're there more as a thank you for everyone who's able to support us than anything else, just so that we can continue developing over time.
Perfectly said. Go
I
ahead,
was just going
Jacob.
to say, as an addition to that, I don't want anyone to think that cosmetics or anything will be entirely like locked behind a real world store. It will purely be on top of what already exists. We go off the philosophy of we want people to be able to, if they're enjoying the game, if they want to support us, they can do so and get something that is reasonably affordable in return. Obviously, that's a give or take balance that we're figuring out, but at no point will there be anything that you can get exclusively from the store. So if there's pets in the store, you can earn pets. If there's hats, you can earn hats as well. So nothing will be locked away in its entirety.
All right, perfect. Now, will there be solo player functions to the game that won't require friends to help complete them?
Yes. So yeah, obviously, Loftia is an MMO. There will be big aspects of it which will involve engaging with other people, but we do know, obviously, based on just personality types, time zones, and just how people like to play, that not everyone will want to uh, engage with the game in that wider social aspect. The core loop of Loftia, of resource gathering, crafting, interacting with NPCs, can be done entirely solo. There will be aspects of gameplay which can only be done with other players, notably adventures require other players to engage with. But it's not like other games where you need to have a pre-established group and bring them in. You will be able to find people in game to join on with your adventure. But no part of Loftia's like core gameplay loop will be locked behind needing to engage with other people. If you like going solo, if you, for whatever reason, can't or prefer not to engage with other players, that's perfectly fine. And no part of gameplay will be locked away from you because of that. We do hope that we're able to sort of encourage people who might be scared of the idea of, an MMO, say if it's your first one, the idea of engaging with other people can be kind of scary. So that's something we're hoping to encourage, that slow kind of dipping your toe into the water. But no, if you like going on your own, you can do so. You can play how you choose to, essentially.
And even for adventures, we'll probably have at least some that you can do solo. Well, the majority of that content is kind of focused on group play. That by no means will we go and make it 100% exclusively group play. It just maybe it's a little bit more of a streamlined adventure where you're not relying on your friends as much. It's the same type of gameplay, just more solo.
Right. Now, talking a little bit more about our wonderful community, what is the team's plan for organizing, viewing, and acting on community feedback during development as the player base and Discord grow following alpha release? What tools are already in place to ensure that feedback is received in an efficient and effective manner?
Yeah. So one thing you do commonly see is currently for what we have for feedback is our suggestion channel. It has a cooldown of hours, so basically we are encouraging people to organize their thoughts and try to like put it into one message. And it could be one long message. You can always wait another hour to send another message, but it's easier for us to keep track of if you just try to condense your thoughts a bit, which is another reason why we have the cooldown. Um, but we are looking through it, the developers are, we're going through, seeing it. I mean, I'm in there commenting a bit about it a couple times. For future, as we go along and we are unlocking, alpha, early access, those sort of things, there will be back channels, so private categories, especially for alpha, where you'll be able to send your own feedback, you'll be able to chat with other alpha members, you're going to be able to have ways to communicate with the team more easily, to be able to listen, have us listen to your feedback and, keep in mind it. In the future, in the future, you'll be seeing probably like an actual channel for feedback to give private feedback and stuff like that. We will have other tools and other tools we are looking into in order for you to share. That's not just on Discord, but the one you guys will probably commonly be using will be the Discord channels, just because that's where everyone is right now. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at right now for it.
Perfect. Now, this is one of my favorite questions. Will some or all clothing and furniture items have color variants, and how will that function?
Yeah, I can take this one. So we know how much everyone loves clothing and furniture customization, and everyone on our team loves it as well. So we definitely want to provide, as many different customization options as possible in different colors and patterns and everything. Of course, we won't be able to do like 10, 20 variants for every single item. So we do have to stick within our resources, but we are actively looking to provide as much, many styles and different options as possible. And we'll definitely work with the community as well to figure out what kind of variations or things that you guys might like. So we're going to continually ask for feedback and suggestions in the next few months as we design these kind of things. So with clothes, if there's certain style or certain color or something that you guys want, we'll look for those comments and look for those suggestions and work that into our pipeline as well. So yeah, definitely a lot of options coming up.
Yes, I love it. Mick, did you have something to
Just
add?
to just to add to that a little bit, to clarify, so we will have color variants for clothing and furniture items. Some items will have more variants available than others, and that's due to the nature of the complexity of the item and just how much development work it would take. Because, obviously, if a piece of furniture, is incredibly intricate and has, very complex patterns and a whole bunch of different sections to it with different colors, it would be a huge amount of effort to provide alternative color options for. So, yep, in general, we're going to do as much as we can to enable as much color variation and customization as possible, and it will depend on the complexity and the resources that the team has. So some more complex items may not have recolorable options.
Yes, perfect. I'm so excited to see everything. Now I know there's been a lot of work done on this specific question. So, can you provide insights on how the team will handle server load capacity, given that there's slated to be about 7,000 players in alpha alone and much more in early access? How does the team plan to handle massive amounts of players at login and main zones?
Yep, so that's an important one, certainly. And I won't go too deep into the technicals of this because I don't want to bore the people who aren't interested in that. But generally, we're building a lot of our account and authentication services on top of what's called Epic Online Services, which is what Epic has created and actually uses for Fortnite. And so if we can break Fortnite's authentication system, I will be so incredibly proud of all of you. And that is like a life goal type of deal because that is a really powerful, robust system. And then the other half of it would be we're also building on top of AWS. And if we can bring down AWS, then you guys are doing great. And so we're really trying to be very careful about building on like battle tested systems that are incredibly scalable. Um, and just really well thought out by other companies so that we don't have to do that ourselves and take on that risk personally. And then as far as how the servers themselves will work is we'll have regionally distributed servers so that you can have a good gameplay experience without high pings. And so there will be servers located in the United States, in Europe, in Southeast Asia. The exact distribution of that will depend on what our player base is looking like as we get closer and closer to release. You're not going to be locked to any of those servers, of course. You can choose to play wherever you want, depending on where your friends are and all that. But we'll be providing options in different regions just to give everyone the best experience. Yeah, I think that should be all of that.
Perfect. Now, talking about our multiplayer aspect, will we be able to use the same account across multiple platforms?
Yeah, so that's one where eventually, if we get to the point of being able to do crossplay, will almost certainly be a thing where you can go and log in on the Switch and play the same character that you would play on the PC. However, we're not to the point where we can really confidently guarantee that we're going to be able to do crossplay. Basically, we know that generally it's possible. The tools that we're using are things that we've chosen specifically to allow it at some point. But the biggest sticking point that we have right now is the patching cadence for the Switch. There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through with Nintendo to push out patches and to manage the servers and all that stuff. We don't want to lock our PC release to that same patching cadence until we're really confident that we know how to push out a patch onto the Switch, how we can do rapid turnarounds for any fixes that need to happen. All of those bits are really key to allow us to do all of the cross-play and cross-platform pieces. And until we can prove to ourselves that we can do that, we don't want to go and promise to you guys that cross-platform and cross-play is going to be a thing because it's not 100% within our own control. It really depends a lot on Nintendo's processes for pushing out patches to a multiplayer game.
Yes. Now, talking about the Switch once more, if Nintendo releases a new Switch, will Loftia be available for that new console?
So this is one where it's just too early to tell. There's been a whole lot of rumors that are just rumors, right? And there are rumors that it may be backwards compatible, that everything that works on the Switch too. We have no idea. And so it is 100% on our radar. We are keeping a very close eye on it, just as fans of the Switch, because there are games that all of us are playing on the Switch all the time. And we know that it is the perfect fit for Loftia. but there's just so little information that Nintendo has provided to anyone. It's all basically just leaks and rumors at this point, and so there's no way to say anything with any real certainty at this point.
Yes. All right. Now, going back and talking about our Kickstarter again, what happens to the stretch goals we see but don't meet? Will we see those in the game at some point?
So this would, if you see a stretch goal like that we don't meet, we would like to see it in post game after we get the game launched and everything. However, it really would just depend on what we could actually have the actual funds to do, what we can make actually realistically work. Since we're not hitting the stretch goal, we can't promise that we'll have it. We would like to, but we can't make a promise on something we didn't plan to have.
Yeah, a good example to think about that one with is like the biomes, where obviously it's incredibly awesome to have as many biomes in the game as possible. And we want to see Arctic and desert and just all sorts of different places that you can go. But at the same time, building out those biomes is an incredibly intensive effort on the art side. Just think of all the different trees and rocks and ground and just all of the pieces that go into that takes a lot of artists' time, which in turn we need to pay the artists so they can support their families and live their lives. And so that's one of the ones where it would probably be pushed a little further if we don't hit that stretch goal just because of the pure financial, we need to pay people to do this and it's a heck of a lot of work type of situation.
Yes. Anything else to add from anybody? Alrighty. Is there a player driven economy where players can buy, sell, and trade with others?
I know a lot of you have been waiting on this one, and yes, there will. Uh, at a minimum, there will be a basic trading functionality, and that will in itself already drive a base level of a player-driven economy. And many of you will have seen that the stretch goal that we're currently 2 goals away from is player-run markets. So for this one, we're envisioning a market area within Loftia City that players will be able to go and plop down a little stall of their own and put up some of their items for sale. And so it'll be kind of like like a public marketplace, bazaar kind of place where you can walk in, physically stroll around, see everyone's stalls, and pretty much a window shop. Slightly different definition of window shop there, but still accurate in the sense that you click on this stall and you'll get a window. Anyway, I'll stop there. Yes, in short, player economy, trading, buying, selling, trading with others. Yep, it'll all be there. And fingers crossed that we hit that stretch goal.
Yes, for sure. Talking about trading again, will the items, clothing, and skins available from the Kickstarter be tradable in the final game?
Yeah, so this is another really good one. The rewards from the Kickstarter will not be tradable in the final game. And that actually extends beyond the Kickstarter as well. So store-bought items will remain store-bought and they will not be tradable. And items that are obtainable in-game will only be obtainable in-game. So we'll have a clear separation between those 2 categories, and that's essential to maintaining a game where there is no pay to win, because obviously we really don't want anyone just dropping a ton of money, a ton of real dollars into the game, and then just selling everything in the open market to make a lot of gold or whatever currency that we will have. It probably won't be gold. Yeah, we don't have an answer to that one just yet. To
All
the
right.
name of the currency, that is.
Yeah. Now, this is a question for Felicia. What NPC was the most fun to draw or create?
There are only a few NPCs we've revealed so far. I think my favorite to draw would be Pebble, as you can see from the amount of pebble art we have. Though if you're talking like human NPCs, Kun is probably my favorite to create. I'm pretty sure he's a fan favorite as well. He has like a pretty wholesome story, and he has this tough exterior going on, but he's actually really sweet. And I think that's pretty wholesome, seeing the contrast between his looks and personality.
Yes, I love our NPCs. I'm obsessed with them. Now, what's the process of creating 2D concepts for the game?
Um, I've been working on the concept art and illustrations for Loftia for quite some time now, and it ranges from environment to characters and even like pets. So definitely a lot of research has to be done first, just to make sure that I understand what I'm supposed to draw. Like get to know the subject as much as possible. So for example, when I'm working on pet designs, I'll do some basic research on how they look like their anatomy, personality, how they function, etc. And then once I have enough research, I'll start with sketches. Uh, Usually the first few sketches are warm-ups to kind of like get the brain going. And during the sketching phase, I focus on the silhouette and shape design and making sure that I nail down the correct vibes.
Perfect. I love hearing about all the art. It's one of my favorite parts. Now, for the engineering team, VS Code, Vim, or NeoVim, I don't know any of these things. Oh my gosh. Visual Studio, or I don't know the last one. The engineering team would know. I'm not an
Sea
engineer.
lion.
Not an
Yes.
engineer, as we can clearly tell.
So to give some context around what Kinsley's talking about, those are a whole bunch of different code editors and IDEs that we could be using for like managing the code, writing the code, all of that. And the answer is absolutely none of the above. Rider from JetBrains is by far the best IDE for developing in Unreal. It is absolutely fantastic. And since we're on the topic, we can go over a couple of the other tools that we use, I guess. So obviously the game engine is Unreal Engine 5. We use Rider for our IDE. We have what else should we even talk about? Like those are the main ones that actually matter. And then we use AWS on the back end for a lot of those pieces. And really that's most
DynamoDB for storing data in AWS.
DynamoDB in AWS. But if you are ever interested in looking at coding for Unreal, I highly, highly suggest Rider. It is a fantastic development environment.
I learned something new today, guys. Now we're going back to art, and this person asked, is the look final for Loftia, or are we still fine-tuning the graphics?
So yes and no. So is it literally final? No. Obviously, the stuff that we've shown off in Kickstarter is very much pre-alpha. It's the stuff that we're wanting to present to show Loftia, like the soul of it, the way we want to represent it. But it's definitely far from final. There's a lot of polish that won't be implemented until a long way out. There's still a lot of things that need optimization and redo. Notably, the way you make, a vertical slice of a game in the position that Loftia currently is in is a lot different to, the final product that's delivered. So there will be things that change. In general, the feel of Loftia, the vibe of Loftia is something that will pretty much be the same, but the actual execution will change. But on that subject, actually, since we're getting closer to the end of the Kickstarter, there has been some internal talk of how do we really cement Loftia's identity? How do we make sure that Loftia really stands out and is its own thing? Not just because there's a lot of cozy games around at the moment, but so it's Loftia, we're presenting it in its authentic self. So we would actually love to know, like what community thoughts and feedback is regarding that. Your favorite bits that we've shown off on the Kickstarter so far, some things that you'd like to see developed a bit more, or something that we've talked about that you want to see more of. And on that subject, like games that you think really are a good inspiration to look to in terms of Loftia's aesthetic. Like, obviously, we know internally what we want, but all of us come from different backgrounds, and we want Loftia to kind of represent that sort of early feel for a lot of us, and that's different across a lot of games. Like, what was it? What was the game, Mike? The MMO you used to play? Was it Maple Story?
Yeah, that would have been the one.
Yeah, so that's one of his like big sources of influence, of course. Where mine, I'm more of like a Club Penguin kid and Pop Tropica and that sort of stuff growing up. So we all have like different inspirations for how we want Loftia to represent that kind of vibe. Um, and yeah, we're always talking about it. We're always wanting to twist and change things. So if you guys have um, anything that's like an inspiration to you, we'd genuinely love to hear it because that's something we're always thinking about. So yeah, yes, we are making adjustments, but we'll see how it goes.
Yes, make sure to drop everything in chat so we can look at them. And now, this is another art related question. Will we be adding more options for facial features?
Yes, absolutely yes. This is one of those things where the reason why we haven't shown more is purely just time constraints. We absolutely plan on it. We're rebuilding the way our facial feature system works to allow for more variety, more customization. Obviously, we want to make sure that people of different backgrounds are represented accurately. And so, yes, this is something we're very much working on as we speak. It's getting an entire fresh coat of paint. Um, yes.
Alrighty. Now, this is a community question, so Cal and I, we better answer this great. All right, how do we come up with community events?
Man, I would say the main thing for both of us has just been our calls. We
Yeah.
have done a lot of calls, and like hit ideas back and forth between each other. So I'll let Kinsley take the lead on that bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Cal and I, we sit in calls and we brainstorm and we write ideas down and we think about what would you guys enjoy and what would we enjoy and how can it relate to Loftia and how can we make it fun. So there's a lot of brainstorming that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I would say one of the big things that we did just recently for the community, not really an event, but has been involved in event has been LoftiaBot and the LoftiaBot update. Um, a lot of you guys have been taking a part of it and enjoying it, which is really nice to see. But LoftiaBot has been a big factor in some of our event ideas, especially if you were here for the tree event of 2023 for Earth Day. Um, that was one of the big ones for leveling up the tree. I would say that for me, LoftiaBot was just a lot of planning and sort of like what we were doing for the economy, what new items, those sort of things. A lot of people saw me in chat talking about some random facts because I really dug deep into researching new things for it and trying to put it all together, but without like making me here not would not be here with the current LoftiaBot. So very big thanks to them and Kinsley, who has been very helpful and bouncing ideas back and forth between both of us and trying to make sure we can give you guys the best nights and best events possible. Being a vet is still one of my favorites.
Yes, we love doing community events. It is the most fun ever. Now, these are questions for kind of everybody. So, when things get tough, what do you guys do to calm down?
That is a really good one. Um, there have definitely been a couple of times when things have, you know, it's been a little. Sorry, my throat's giving way today. Like for example, more recently, there were some more crunchy kind of periods. Like for example, a bunch of us on the team had to work incredibly hard in the final weeks leading up to the Kickstarter, getting everything ready, and obviously that always kind of takes a toll on everyone. And I can't speak for everyone else. Obviously everyone deals with it in different ways, but I think the positive aspect of it has been that our team has worked incredibly well throughout this crunch period. Obviously, everyone has a lot on their plate. We're kind of stressed out, but it's brought us in many ways closer together as a team, and I think that's been a really, really great thing for all of us to kind of see and notice within our interactions. As for how like individually we've been dealing with it or how I've been dealing with it, I think lifestyle is an incredibly important aspect of it. No matter how tough things get, you gotta kind of try and have as firm a grasp as possible on how much sleep you're getting, whether or not you're eating the right kinds of things, getting out to move every now and again, obviously, all that kind of stuff. It can't be understated on how important all of that is. Yeah, so nothing revolutionary.
Mike certainly does not get enough sleep in general, but
Yeah, what a hypocrite.
We try
Yeah.
our
No.
best. That's what matters.
you should have seen him when the Kickstarter launched. He
Oh my
probably went like 30
gosh.
hours straight.
Yeah.
But yeah, he says crunchy. I obviously just want to elaborate on that. We didn't make anyone work more than they wanted to. Obviously, it was more the people. We are a small team. Everyone knew how much we needed to get done. No one was sat down and we told them you need to work X amount of hours. It was always we knew what needed to be done. Everyone just wanted to keep going at it to make sure it was where we wanted
I
it
think
to be.
in a lot of ways, it was the exact opposite. Almost
Yeah.
every single person on the team was telling every other person to stop working as much as they
Oh
were
yeah,
and
Yeah,
ignoring that
yes.
advice themselves.
Yes,
yeah,
Yes.
that's pretty accurate.
yeah.
Yes.
But like in general, like Kickstarter has been stressful. Obviously, there's a lot that we need to present. It's a balance between how much time do we have, and obviously the polish that we want to make sure we're representing Loftia accurately. So there has definitely been like a time constraint there. But generally, honestly, Mike runs a really good ship. He puts a lot of like faith and trust in people to do their job, while also like giving a lot of freedom to make the decisions that they need to. I would say like there's never been a point where I've come to work stressed or didn't want to do my job. It's genuinely been a really healthy, positive workplace, which is great. So it's very rare that there's a point where I have to like wind down from work. But in saying that, usually I just yell at Mike. This is a joke.
I would say
Sarcasm, guys.
Yeah, I would say for me, I mean, there's some stressful moments, in community management. That's just what you get when you're working with PR stuff, and just that stuff in general. But for me, it's just coming back onto the Discord and going into chats and talking to everyone here. I feel like it's just pretty much well known that I try to be as interactive and chatting with all of you. So I know I can go into chat and bicker and mess around and joke with everyone. It's really nice to see just the community continue to grow and see all those relationships, even if I'm just lurking around and watching. So I would say that's just a really good really good way for me to know to keep going because I can keep watching you guys. I keep watching the server be safe as possible, with our moderation team who do a great job. But yeah, just watching the community grow, watching everyone else, it's just amazing for me and a good way to keep me going.
Yes. Anybody else want to answer?
I agree with Jacob. The work environment here is definitely not stressful at all. So like I never really had a time where I felt that I needed to step away or anything. So great.
Best team around.
So true.
This is another yes, for sure. This is another question for everybody. What parts of the game are your most favorite and least favorite thing to work on?
I think. Oh, that's a hard one because this obviously like with the art side of things that covers a lot of stuff. Like that covers pretty much everything. But if I were to pick a few things, uh, player customization and like figuring out what our options are and actually getting stuff working. Like starting off with a plan, talking to Felicia and Elsie about what we need, then going to the 3D side, going to the technical side, getting everything like every step of the way, and then seeing it done and working and knowing that people are really going to love it. That I really enjoy, like the start to the finish. Other than that, I've also been doing a lot of the VFX stuff, and that's just a really fun way for me to wind down. Because a lot of my job is like talking with other people and making sure everything is working efficiently, being able to just make something small and have it be this little thing that I'm just working on as a bit of polish is a lot of fun. So the like in the adventure trailers, the guy jumping over the edge and landing flat. A lot of that was me. So seeing everyone really enjoying that makes me happy because that was just a little like we need something to show. Ooh, I'm frozen for a bit, but like we need something to show like that part of gameplay. We don't have any VFX yet, so that was a lot of fun. I like doing stuff like that.
Absolute favorite of mine, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, that's an easy one for me
me,
too, where
you go first, Eric.
yeah, okay. I love building big, complicated game systems. Whereas building UI bits and like fiddling with, oh, is this 3 pixels to the wrong side type of work, that drives me crazy. I think I built out a whole giant quest system where it's easy to go and add quests into the game in like one day, and I spent the same amount of time just hooking up the UI for the hydroponics thing and making it show in the right size and spacing on the screen. Um, and so certainly much more fun to build out the giant big backend systems than fiddle with UI placements for me.
On that note, I spent like 10 hours straight one day building Eric like a specific UI material so we could have like custom positioned like icons for all of the NPCs. And I handed it over to him and he's like, this is kind of hard to use. And I was so upset because I
I'm
worked
so
really
sorry.
hard on it. But I guess we need a 2.0 then.
Yes.
But I was very proud of it when it was done.
Um, I don't have a direct say. Obviously, I have a community for like the actual like inner works for the game itself. But I would say one of my favorite parts has been the Kickstarter planning and putting input in for that. That's been really fun and just going through and looking at all the ideas and the add-ons, those stuff. Um, Definitely was really cool to help with those ideas as well as come up with some of my own. Definitely fun. Um, I would say again, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes community can get a bit, overwhelming. There's always I feel like there's always some doubts when you are trying to do like run a server. We have a big server. There's a lot of people here. We grew really fast, so there's always some like lingering fear that, there's just we're not where we're exactly supposed to be in terms of some things. Obviously, we're doing our best. We're gonna continue doing our best. I'm gonna keep doing my best and making sure the server's running perfectly okay. But yeah, I would say definitely excited for the future and really cool.
For me, it's kind of simple. I am a software engineer in my past life, and that's what I really wanted to do when Loftia was created. So really looking forward to, similar to what Eric said, like building out the systems of the game. But as it turned out, running a team is someone needs to do it. And so a huge amount of my time has been devoted to that production side of things, and not enough people. Sorry, I don't know why I said people. I saw a comment with the word people. Not enough of my time has been available to write code as I would like. So that's kind of like answering both questions. My favorite thing is to write code. The least favorite thing is I don't have enough time to write code.
Martina, do you want to answer? Oh,
Yeah, I've
Felicia,
been
go ahead.
thinking about.
Sorry.
Oh no, you can go, Felicia.
Discord cutting us all off.
Yeah. I want to say that I feel it's like my dream job to work here because imagine being able to just draw like cute stuff all the time. So like everything's my favorite. But if I really have to choose, then probably like the outfit design. We're trying to be really inclusive and like have as much genres as possible. And I think like it's also very challenging because I have to make them all fit together in the world of Loftia to kind of like make this Loftian core fashion. You can go, Martina.
Thanks. Yeah, I would say for me, because I've been running most of like the social media accounts and doing all the marketing side of things, I think it's been a very exciting journey so far. Our socials just kind of like blew up out of nowhere in the past few months. I think our first kind of viral video happened in the start of this year, and it's just been like growing really quickly. So that has been really exciting to experience, and I really love making all the reels and content for everyone, and it's really really cool to kind of like see everyone's feedback and suggestions in the comments as well. So I love doing that. I would also say that that part sometimes can be quite stressful as well, especially in the lead up to the Kickstarter. There was just like a lot of marketing stuff that we wanted to push out and a lot of content that we wanted to push out. And it feels like sometimes we don't always have enough time to do everything that we want to do. And I guess also just with like any social media or marketing role, it's always hard to sometimes think of new content to push out. And we always want to like kind of show the best of ourselves while also staying true and authentic as well. So yeah, I think that would be for me.
I'm also going to answer this question because my favorite thing and my least favorite thing are the exact same thing. So for our Kickstarter, I ended up creating PR packages for content creators to send out to, and that was so much fun. I got to pick out a bunch of sustainable items that related to Loftia. I actually handmade stickers for everybody, but sending those out was a challenge. International shipping is a challenge, but it was so much fun to create, and we got to go in with all the little hand details. And yeah, it was so much fun, but it was stressful. But the marketing team and just everybody in general is the best. So yes. Oh my goodness, we're 7 minutes over time, but one last question. What feature is everyone from the team most excited about?
I think I'll go first for this one because I answered this on a last stream actually. But for me, it would definitely be anything customization. So clothing customization, housing customization. I'm just so excited to like customize everything and to like take everyone's feedback and try and build it into the game. And also really excited for the thrift shop as well. So yeah, that's one of our newly unlocked stretch goals. So we'll be doing some more design and thinking around that, but it's going to be a really fun feature in the game. Yeah.
Mhm.
Those of you who were here in the last stream have also heard my answer, but just for clarity, it's going to be adventures for me. Yeah, group content, tackling challenges with friends. That's a really, really huge part of the gaming experience for me. So really looking forward to building it out and then playing it after we built it out. I suspect Eric might also be looking forward to adventures. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I do enjoy the adventures. I would say my favorite facet of it has only ever been mentioned once in one mailing list email. And maybe if we keep going on the stretch goals, we'll get to see it.
Mm.
Mine is probably biomes and like Loftia City in general. We do want to be like exploring more the backstory of Loftia, the lore of the world that it takes place in. But it's not going to be just sort of something that you can like find in a book. We want like the environment and the gameplay and things like that to start to establish what's happened in Loftia's world. So, for example, we don't really want like mining in Loftia, going and cracking open rocks, but you will need to find, say, like copper and steel. So how do we do that? So like traversing old like ruins of cities or things like that, or like floodplains, or when earthquake has knocked something out. Those sorts of challenges where we have to think, how do we represent this through like Loftia's perspective? That's really, really fun getting to like get really creative and outgoing with some of those ideas. That's probably my favorite bit.
I would say for me, it's Waddle. I'm such a big fan of Waddle. So like when I saw the concept art for Waddle, I actually like just zoomed in. I can't even begin to tell you how like focused I got onto Waddle. As soon as I saw that little guy, I was like, that one. That one right there. It was just immediate. I love that little guy. But yeah, I guess pets in general would just be my favorite. We have a lot of pets just currently talked about and like planned for like our game. So definitely gonna be really excited to see, and definitely will be a big pet collector in my future.
On that note, Cal, just wanted to give a quick shout out to Felicia. It was
Yes.
Felicia's idea to concept up some robot pets, and there are actually a bunch more robot pets that Felicia ideated, and they're sitting in our archives, and we're
Mhm.
thinking of introducing a couple more of them over the course of development. So watch out for those.
There's
They're
some
so
very cool
cute.
ones
They are
that I'm
adorable.
looking
Very,
forward
very cool
So
to
ones. Yeah.
pushing. Yeah.
We had a hard
Yeah.
time deciding.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
we did. There was a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
to choose.
If you liked Willy and Waddle, you'll definitely like the rest.
Oh,
Keep your
for
eyes peeled.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Something I'm looking forward to would probably be fishing. Obviously, the world is set on floating islands, so there's a lot of challenges in designing how marine life would be like in Loftia. But we already have some amazing concept art from Elsie on that.
Has everybody answered the question? I don't want to interrupt anybody. All right. Well, probably one of my favorite things. I have way too many favorite things, but I think the thrift shop is one of the coolest things. I've never seen it in a game, and I think it's perfect for Loftia. It's all about sustainability. And so I think the thrift shop, but also just everything you can customize and just all the cuteness. That's my favorite part. Just how cute Loftia is. um But yeah, that's our final question of the day, of the night. And yeah, so many good questions. Thank you guys so much for asking. And yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. It was so good to have another session with you all. Hopefully you enjoyed the many faces and getting to meet more members of the team a little bit more intimately. And yeah, we're gonna have more live streams in the future as well, and with more members of our team, so we get to meet them as well. So it's not that there aren't only 7 of us. There are
Yes.
quite a few more people, but yeah, we couldn't fit everyone into today, and there are some like time zone things because everyone's spread out across the world. But yeah, you'll get to see more of us for sure.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And we will be posting this recording onto maybe YouTube afterwards as well. So we'll definitely make an announcement when that's up. Anyone who's missed out on anything. Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.
You can't see me, but I'm waving.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Have a good time zone.
Good time zone.
Good time zone.